The world's largest construction project, known simply as The Line, has already begun to leave its mark on the Arabian desert. Saudi Arabia's billionaire crown prince envisions this 170-kilometer-long megacity to be visible to the naked eye from space. Satellite images reveal how the landscape is transforming. Where there was once only sand and rock, deep trenches are now visible, along with thousands of trucks, excavators, and entire new towns. Workers and their families are already promoting their new lives here on social media. However, satellite images also show villages that have been wiped from the map. The line is being built on Saudi land, but the controversial project appears to be struggling. Media reports indicate canceled contracts, scaled back construction, and spiraling costs. Plans to welcome the first residents in 2024 never materialized. So, is constructing what architects describe as essentially a giant greenhouse in one of the hottest and driest places on Earth really a good idea? This region has recorded some of the highest temperatures on the planet. We analyzed the latest satellite imagery and spoke with experts. Would I want to live in the line? No, I absolutely wouldn't. Will Saudi Arabia's desert dream become reality or remain just that, a dream? Mirage. The Line is the brainchild of Saudi Arabia's crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, MBS. In 2023, he told the Discovery Channel that he would build this extraordinary megacity against all odds. They say a lot of projects in Saudi Arabia can't be done. This is very ambitious. They can keep saying that and we can keep proving them wrong. The multi-billionaire prince is no stranger to lavish spending and futuristic construction projects. It's all part of his Vision 2030 plan to diversify Saudi Arabia's economy away from fossil fuels and into sectors like sports, entertainment, and technology. Become home to an array of fantastical projects such as Siyala, a once barren island just off the coast that has already been transformed into a luxury beach destination featuring hotels, a golf course, a beach club, and a marina. Meanwhile, construction has begun in the mountains on what MBS envisions as a future desert ski resort called Trojana. The clock is ticking, as the resort must be ready by 2029 when it will host the Asian Winter Games. Given that the mountains receive little rain and even less snow, the resort will need to rely almost entirely on artificial means to create suitable conditions. Of course, MBS already has his own palace complex in NEOM, complete with private beaches, lush green gardens, a golf course, and helipad construction on the line began in October 2021. What we can see in satellite imagery today is a giant scar cutting inland from the Red Sea through the mountains and out the other side. But beyond the epic earthworks, there is little sign of the megacity portrayed in glossy promotional videos. Imagine a skyscraper city stretching uninterrupted for 170 kilometers. That's the distance between Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., or Naples and Rome. The line is designed to be unlike any city ever built. Some believe it is not just a city, but a framework, a structured grid-like development. The glass-clad structure is planned to be 500 meters high and 200 meters wide. To visualize what a mirrored glass wall in the desert might look like, consider the Moriah concert venue, built by the Saudis in 2019. Currently, it is the largest mirrored building in the world, but it stands only 3 stories, or 26.6 meters high. If built, the line will be one of the top 10 tallest buildings in the world, and by far the longest. Animations produced by NEOM depict suspended gardens, waterfalls cascading down buildings, and all essential daily needs within a 5-minute walk. A high-speed train is planned to transport residents from one end to the other in just 20 minutes. There are even flying taxis. Prototypes have already taken to the air at a facility just 4 kilometers from the line. One consultant who worked on the Megaproject told Business Insider that the city is designed with a wealthy minority in mind. Yet the line promises to eventually house 9 million people within a footprint of just 34 square kilometers, more than 5 times the population of Manhattan in just over half the space. According to NEOM, this is what Manhattan would look like if it were compressed into the same footprint as the line. It might seem like a radical concept, but urban planners argue that we do need to rethink how cities are built. Over the last 75 years, city populations have rapidly expanded. More than half of the world's population, 4.4 billion people, now live in cities, and the UN predicts this number will reach nearly 7 billion by 2050. However, this expansion is not sustainable. Take, for example, the rapid growth of Las Vegas, as seen in this time lapse of NASA satellite imagery, or Lagos, Nigeria, which has expanded dramatically over the past 40 years. Paris, too, has grown 200 times in size since 1800, despite its population today being only 22 times larger. The team at NEOM believes that cities need a reset. Urban areas are falling into the trap of traffic congestion, pollution, and social disconnection. As one team member put it, if humanity is not ambitious in this moment, then when will we be? The line is designed as a solution to both urban sprawl and population explosion. As MBS told the Discovery Channel in 2023, the population of Saudi Arabia is expected to grow from 33 million today to somewhere between 50 and 55 million by 2030. That raises a very important question. We need to create a new city. Supporters of the line have praised MBS for his bold and innovative vision. The energy within Saudi Arabia right now is incredible. I think NEOM is the pinnacle of that change, and it's really exciting to be part of it. However, not everyone is convinced by the design. Some of the world's greatest architects and environmentalists were visionaries. They pushed boundaries because they understood the need to build globally. For thousands of years, we have mostly built cities with dense, walkable centers that expand outward over time in a circular pattern. Walkable interaction has always been the foundation of cities. Businesses thrive where people can easily connect. Meanwhile, the pristine alpine environment around Lake Gemsil is home to diverse flora and fauna. The construction project must adhere to strict environmental regulations to minimize its ecological footprint. Measures include careful waste management, habitat restoration, and monitoring of water quality. If a city the size of the line were instead built in a circular shape, more people would be within walking distance of each other. One of the things people love about city life is the buzz of unpredictability. Cities like London, New York, and Bangkok are big, messy, and filled with fascinating places. This is not the first grand plan for a linear city, but history shows that they rarely make it off the drawing board. Toward the end of the 19th century, urban planner Arturo Soria proposed a 55-kilometer-long central tram line in Madrid with houses on either side. However, only around 5 kilometers were ever built, and it has since been absorbed into the sprawl of Madrid. About 30 years later, Edgar Chambliss designed Road Town, a linear city with a monorail below ground and a walkway at the top. In the 1960s, 2 Princeton University professors devised the Jersey Corridor, a 32-kilometer linear city featuring 2 parallel buildings running between New Brunswick and Trenton. They envisioned that the city could one day stretch from Boston to Washington, D.C., but neither of these American dreams ever materialized into brick and mortar. Perhaps the closest example to something like the line is Corviala, a 1-kilometer-long social housing block in Rome designed for 8,000 people. Never fully completed, it fell into disrepair, and this is what it looks like today. Yet, it seems MBS is undeterred by history. According to the Wall Street Journal, when urban planners suggested alternative designs, the Crown Prince brushed them aside. Mega projects and mega cities have often reflected a government's desire to portray power, equity, or some form of ideology to a national or global audience. But there is evidence that satellite images from May 2023 showed earthworks in full swing across the length of the line. However, almost a year later, Bloomberg reported that the project was being scaled back and workers were being dismissed. Recent satellite imagery does appear to show reduced activity on the ground. For now, the focus is on a section of the line called the Hidden Marina, where residents will be able to sail under the city and then straight out to sea. NEOM executives describe it as the largest excavation project in the world, moving over 90 million cubic meters of material. However, it is now understood that only this 2.4-kilometer section of the project is expected to be completed by 2030 instead of the full 170 kilometers. It wouldn't be the first Saudi mega project to hit the brakes. Ambitious plans to build the world's tallest building, the Burj Jeddah, have been on hold since 2018 following the arrests of several senior figures involved in the project as part of an anti-corruption crackdown. Construction on the 1-kilometer-high skyscraper only resumed in January 2025. While Saudi authorities claim it was always the plan to build the line in phases, others suspect financial challenges may be a factor. Over the last year, reports from experts have suggested that the country may be feeling the financial strain of the project, leading to scaled-back plans. Oil prices and resulting revenues have also been lower over the past year, further impacting the project's feasibility. Saudi Arabia had hoped that foreign investment would cover a significant portion of the project's escalating costs, but experts indicate that investment levels may not have met the kingdom's expectations. Analysts estimate that completing the line in full could cost more than $2 trillion, 4 times the original budget. Yet, even at this early stage, progress on the line has already come at a human. An oil-producing country has pledged to generate half of its energy from renewables by 2030. However, in 2023, it was still less than 1%. In the NEOM region, they aim to meet 100% of their energy needs with renewable power. Solar farms can already be seen in satellite images near workers' camps, and a new wind farm is emerging from the desert further north. The current and future energy demands, especially for the planned megacity, are immense. According to NEOM, the entire region, including the line, will require over 100 terawatt-hours of power annually by 2030, comparable to the annual electricity consumption of the Philippines. The goal is to build the most efficient city, a gridded 6 to 10 story tall city with ample shade and extensive solar panel coverage. But even if the operation of the line can one day be emissions-free as promised, its construction is far from it. Every square meter we build, whether it's a large-scale project like the line or a simple detached house, has an environmental impact. It took around 8 years to build One World Trade Center in New York. The line would be the equivalent of constructing thousands of them. The taller a building, the higher its carbon footprint, as it requires stronger materials such as steel and concrete to withstand wind forces. Concrete is incredibly carbon intensive, and steel is also highly carbon intensive. Professor Oldfield has estimated that constructing the line would generate more than 1.8 billion tons of carbon dioxide, equivalent to 4 years worth of the UK's total emissions. Even if you were to build a conventional city with 6 to 8 story buildings, it would still have a significant carbon footprint. With the line, that footprint is likely to be double or even triple due to its height, structural complexity, and extravagant design, all of which demand materials that contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. And then, once built, this giant glass, steel, and concrete structure, which designers say will blend into the landscape, will need to be kept cool enough for people to live inside. One of the biggest challenges is that it's essentially a massive greenhouse. You don't need a PhD in physics to understand what happens when sunlight hits glass. It heats up. Compare that to traditional Saudi buildings, which are made of mud, stone, and clay, designed to be naturally cool. The irony of NEOM is that, although it's presented as a futuristic city, it is in many ways a lazy city. The architecture is lazy. Before the fossil fuel boom, architecture was generally much more functional. It was designed to keep heat in or out, depending on the climate. If this new city cannot effectively keep heat out, the consequences could be deadly. In June 2024, Saudi Arabia was hit by an extreme heat wave, and over 1,300 people died during the Hajj pilgrimage in Mecca, where temperatures soared above 50 degrees Celsius. 2024 was the hottest year on record, and scientists predict that average temperatures in Saudi Arabia are likely to rise by 2 degrees Celsius by the middle of the century. Perhaps the most precious resource in a desert megacity is water. The region receives around 6 centimeters of rainfall per year, and it is estimated that 4/5 of Saudi Arabia's ancient underground aquifer has been depleted by desert farming in the last 3 decades alone. Currently, more than half of Saudi Arabia's water supply comes from energy-hungry desalination plants, which emit an estimated 60 million tons of CO2 per year. The salty waste brine is often discharged back into the sea, harming marine life. NEOM has stated that 100% of its desalination plants will be powered by renewable energy, something that has never been achieved before. However, despite ambitious plans for regreening the desert and growing crops, finding sustainable water sources remains a crucial challenge for the line. Conservationists also see the line as a death trap for wildlife. Take a look at this map of bird migrations through the region. Around 2.1 billion birds from over 100 different species, including endangered ones, pass through the area. Bird collisions with glass are an enormous problem. The figures in the US alone are in the hundreds of millions per year, and that's just one country. The nation is back on the construction site, and little by little, progress is being made. The latest satellite images of the hidden marina reveal a new excavation in progress, with hundreds of trucks actively shifting dirt. NEOM executives have admitted that it may take 100 years to complete and fully populate the line. However, there is now a more concrete date on the calendar. A stadium, suspended 350 meters high on the skyscraper, is set to be one of the official venues for the 2034 World Cup.